I'm 88 years old, and most mornings I wake up surprised that I'm still here. Not in a grateful way, just surprised. My body feels like an old house that's been lived in too hard, and my mind keeps walking back through rooms I thought I'd locked years ago. People used to call me strong. I let them. I believed it myself for a long time. But sitting here now, with the quiet pressing in on me, I can finally see what that word cost me. Strength. The way I understood it was keeping your mouth shut. It was carrying things alone. It was not needing anyone, or at least pretending you didn't. I wore that idea like a badge, even when it was cutting into my skin. I didn't know then that what I was calling strength was slowly breaking me. I grew up in a house where nobody talked about feelings. My father worked, my mother worried, and the rest of us stayed out of the way. If something hurt, you pushed through it. If you were scared, you swallowed it. That was just how things were done. I was good at it early on. Teachers liked me. Bosses trusted me. I showed up, did what was expected, didn't complain. People mistook that for character. I did too. In my 20s, I married a woman who believed in me more than I believed in myself. She laughed easily. She asked questions, real ones, the kind that make you stop and think. I loved her, but I never quite let her all the way in. I thought providing was enough. Paying bills, fixing things, being dependable. I didn't understand that she wanted my presence, not just my usefulness. I told myself I was tired. I told myself I was under pressure. I told myself there would be time later. Later became a habit. In my 30s, work took over more space than I admitted. I stayed late. I said yes to extra responsibility. I liked being needed. It gave me a reason to avoid the harder work of being open. When my wife tried to talk about how lonely she felt, I heard it as criticism. I got quiet, defensive. I thought holding my ground was strength. I didn't see that I was building a wall, one brick at a time. Our kids grew up around that wall. I was there, technically, at the table, at the games, but part of me was always elsewhere, thinking about the next problem to solve, the next thing to fix. They learned not to bother me with small things, then with big ones. I told myself I was giving them independence. The truth is, I was teaching them how to live without me. By the time I noticed the distance, it felt permanent. They were polite, respectful, and far away. In my 40s, my body started sending signals I ignored. Tightness in my chest, sleepless nights, a constant low-level tension that never quite went away. Doctors mentioned stress. I nodded and went back to work. Strength to me meant not slowing down, not listening, not admitting limits. My wife stopped trying to talk after a while. That hurt, but I also felt relieved. Silence was easier. Silence didn't ask anything of me. We shared a house, a schedule, a history. But we stopped sharing ourselves. I noticed it in small ways. She stopped telling me about her day. I stopped asking. I told myself this was just how long marriages were. Stable, quiet. I didn't realize how empty it had become. In my 50s, my father died. He'd been a hard man, distant. At his funeral, people called him strong too. I remember standing there, listening, and feeling a strange chill, like I was looking at my own future from the outside. I didn't talk about that feeling. I went back to work the next week. My wife tried again after that. One evening, she told me she felt invisible. She said it calmly, without blame. That scared me more than anger would have. I told her I was doing my best. I told her I didn't know what else she wanted from me. I told her I was tired. What I didn't say was that I was afraid. Afraid that if I really listened, I wouldn't know how to respond. afraid I'd already waited too long. A year later, she moved into the guest room. Another year after that, she moved out. We didn't fight. We didn't scream. We just quietly stopped being married. People asked what happened. I said we grew apart. It sounded reasonable. It wasn't the whole truth. The truth was, I stayed rigid when life was asking me to soften. In my 60s, work finally slowed down. Not because I chose it, but because the world moved on without me. Younger men came in, faster, more adaptable. I smiled and acted unbothered. Inside, I felt hollow. The thing I'd built my identity around no longer needed me. That was when the loneliness really set in. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. Long evenings, empty weekends, meals eaten standing up because it didn't matter. My kids called on holidays. Sometimes. We talked about weather, health, nothing too close. I didn't know how to bridge the gap anymore, and I didn't know how to admit that I wanted to. Strength had taught me to endure, not to reach. Then came the heart attack. Not a big one, just enough to scare me. Lying in that hospital bed, listening to the machines, I felt something crack open. I realized how much I'd been carrying alone, how heavy it all was, how unnecessary some of it had been. People visited, co-workers, neighbors. They told me to take it easy, to focus on myself. I nodded, like I always did. What I wanted to say was that I didn't know how to be any other way. After I was discharged, I tried to change. I really did. I called my kids more often. I asked questions. I told them I loved them. It felt awkward, like speaking a language I'd waited too long to learn. They were kind, but cautious. You can't rush closeness. You can't demand it. That was another lesson strength never taught me. I reached out to my ex-wife once. We had coffee. She looked older. So did I. We talked about the past with a careful distance, like two people handling something fragile. She told me she'd been happy again, not in a boastful way, just a statement. I was glad for her, and deeply sad for myself. That was the moment clarity really came, not with fireworks. Just a quiet understanding. Some things don't break all at once. They wear down slowly, under the weight of what you refuse to feel. I had been praised my whole life for being reliable, steady, unshakable. No one ever warned me that those same traits could turn into armor so thick nothing could get through. Not love, not grief, not joy. Now, at 78, my days are simple. I wake up, I make coffee, I sit by the window and watch the light change. My body aches in familiar places. My heart does too. I think about the moments I rushed through, the conversations I shut down, the times someone reached for me and I didn't reach back. I understand now that strength isn't about how much you can carry. It's about knowing when to put things down. I learned that late. If you're listening to this and any of it feels familiar, I won't tell you what to do. I'm not here to give advice. I don't believe in speeches at this age. I'll just tell you what I wish someone had told me. Endurance can look a lot like courage. Silence can look a lot like control. And being needed can feel a lot like being loved. But they're not the same. If you keep choosing to hold everything together by yourself, one day you may look around and realize there's no one left to hold you. I don't say that with bitterness, just honesty. I'm not angry at my younger self. He did what he knew how to do. He thought strength meant survival. In some ways it did, but survival isn't the same as living. I know that now. The breaking didn't come from weakness. It came from never allowing myself to be weak. These days, I try to be gentle with what's left. I let memories come and go. I let the quiet sit beside me. I don't fight it anymore. If this meant something to you, if it stirred something you've been carrying, I hope you don't wait as long as I did to set it down. That's all I wanted to say.